Princess Mia, on summer vacation, was sulking in bed over not receiving a letter from Prince Abel. A letter finally arrived from her former enemy, Tiona Rudolvon. She learned about Tiona's genius brother, Cyril, who developed cold-resistant wheat in the previous timeline. Sensing an opportunity, Mia decided to fund his education within the Empire to keep him, and his wheat, close. Her selfish motives were misinterpreted by Anne and Ludwig as acts of political genius and compassion. Mia visited the Rudolvons, charmed Cyril by praising his flowers, and was seen as a saint by everyone, all while secretly scheming to secure the wheat for her own survival. I hear from Tiona-san that your son, Cyril, is a very intelligent child. He seems to excel at his studies.
As soon as Mia's words mentioned Cyril's name, Anne and Rudolvon immediately grasped her intent.
So that's what this is all about. Her reparation is to offer...
Perhaps she was going to give Cyril a recommendation to a school for him to study. But as compensation for taking part of his land, it seemed a tad inadequate.
Wait, what if it isn't just any school? What if... Mia-sama, forgive me if I've malinterpreted your intentions, but am I correct in assuming that you're offering a personal recommendation for Cyril to attend St. Noel Academy?
Admission to St. Noel Academy, which boasts the highest educational environment on the continent, is certainly exceptional. As a price for the recent events, it would be more than enough for reparation.
I've heard that Her Highness is friends with the daughter of the Duke, Rufina. If what Tiona said was true, then it's certainly possible, but...
The wrinkles on his brow deepened, and he pressed his lips together. If that was her proposal, then he did not want his son, who is his successor, out of the Empire. Mia, however, shook her head.
Allow me to forgive you since you have indeed misinterpreted my intentions. I'm not so foolish as to send valuable talent away to foreign countries.
Mia has been thinking since she received the letter. If Cyril enrolls inside Noel, who will receive credit for his accomplishments? Needless to say, it would be St. Noel Academy, or worse yet, St. Rufina. They may even look to the boy's sister, Tiona. Whoever might receive the credits, it for sure won't be the one that put in a good word with Rufina to get him through the door. What is important here is for Mia to receive all the credit for the future achievements of Cyril Rudolvon. To do this, Cyril must be under the direct patronage of Mia. However, she couldn't just enroll him in any imperial school. That is because there is no school at the level of St. Noel Academy in Tearmoon. And if she sent him to a mediocre school, he might never develop the new strain of wheat, which would be disastrous. How then would she solve this dilemma? After much head-scratching, Mia came to an answer.
If the kind of school I need doesn't exist, then I can just create one.
At that moment of inspiration, several elements fell into place with a satisfying click like a puzzle, and suddenly she saw the bigger picture.
Speaking of which, they were going to build a town for me, weren't they? In that case, did you know about the princess town that will be built in Viscount Berman's territory?
Anne and Rudolvon was caught by surprise by the sudden change in topic that it took him a few seconds to follow.
Eh? Oh, yeah, of course. I'm thinking of building a school there. A school, you say? Yes, wouldn't it be exciting if there was a school like St. Noel in the Empire, along with the surrounding towns to support it?
Mia smiled mischievously, tossing the idea as if it was the most natural thing to say.
And wouldn't it even be more exciting if Cyril was the first student in my school? Ah!
Anne and Rudolvon's tongue was tied, and he took a sharp breath.
By putting the forest under her direct control, she prevented any conflict from breaking out. By letting Viscount Berman build the princess town, she appeased his vanity. In the midst of all that, Her Highness has actually included us, Rudolvons, in those plans. She wanted us to benefit as well.
Being in a neighboring territory, the school would be close to home. Moreover, the Lulu tribe who lives in the forest is a tribe that has good ties and friendship with them. It's much easier and safer than going to the imperial capital. Perhaps the execution of such a plan will cost a lot of money, but the name alone, Prince's Town, should be enough to attract the attention of many other nobles. Berman would almost certainly receive a great number of donations in exchange for a piece of the glory, and so long as Princess Mia was involved, she would see to it that the project be realized. At this point, Håkon Rudolvon is a step away from contracting stage 1 Mia-itis. His level of appreciation and trust in her is off the roof already that he respectfully bow.
I am honored to be blessed with your goodwill and to have your care and consideration. Though we are a family of little power, if there is anything we can do to help to repay you, anything? In that case, let's see now. What do I need?
Pretending to be casual, Mia tilted her head a bit. She was considering her choices. She was acutely aware of a familiar but long-missed feeling of exhilaration rising up within her.
It's coming. I know it. I can feel it in my gut.
A big wave was coming, and just like last time, she was going to ride it as far as it could take her.
I'm interested in the wheat that your family keeps in storage. Wheat? Yes, I would like you to keep storing it. In fact, rather than selling it for cheap, hold on to it as much as you can. Then, if famine strikes, of course, if that happens, our wheat will be offered to the imperial family. You have my... No, that's not what I want.
If they did that, Mia's instinct was telling her that it would be very bad. The imperial family would store wheat only for the central nobles and themselves, and the common people would starve. In the end, the angry people will rise up in revolution, and her story will again come to a quick and head-looping end.
I would like the wheat to be distributed directly to the people from the Rudolvon family. I want you to use my name while doing it. Tell them it was my order, and it was because of me.
It was clearly a terrible and vain request from Mia. The Håkon stared at her, his eyes filled with not disdain, but rather full of admiration and gratefulness.
Wait, let me see if I get this right. In the event that I have to distribute wheat to the people, you want me to declare that I am doing it under your instruction? You're allowing us to use the banner of your name? That's right. Use my banner and shout my name while doing it if you want. I am impressed, Your Highness.
He couldn't help marveling at the wisdom of the little princess that is the same age as his daughter. Håkon Rudolvon has a large territory, and most of his people are farmers. Therefore, when food was scarce due to the poor crops, the central nobles came and robbed their wheat. They would do it in the pretense that they are giving it to the imperial family, although in reality, they would hoard it for themselves. To them, the hunger of the masses was of no importance. It was considered common sense among high nobles to not even think about the starving people, if they were at risk of starving themselves. While it is true that nobles do live luxurious lives, it isn't the want to maintain such luxurious lifestyles the reason for them to hoard wheat. Rather, it stems from a simple reason: fear. Nobody could know how long a famine would last. With the risk of starvation, nobles would hoard up wheat as much as possible. They were looking for relief from their anxiety from future starvation. The more they had, the greater their buffer. The greater their buffer, the less they'd worry. In doing so, they burdened their people with suffering of a far more tangible nature. Still, suffering was suffering, whether mental or physical. To think only of yourself might be immoral, but to fear hunger was only human. So long as they framed their actions as protecting themselves from famine, little could be done to reprimand them. Now, imagine that under such circumstances, instead of offering their provisions to the nobles knocking on the territories with lots of farming, the Rudolvons instead gave their food to the masses for free. What would those nobles think? They'd be furious, considering that their overused excuse to hoard food for the imperial family and refusing them would almost be labeled as treason. But this is where the genius of Princess Mia truly shows. By displaying the princess banner while distributing food to the masses would be considered a direct order from her. If they do so, the central nobles, or any nobles, can't say anything. It would be them who will be guilty of treason.
I'm afraid to admit it to you, Your Highness. I am a timid man. Would you be willing to have these instructions of yours in writing? In writing? Well, I certainly don't mind if it brings your concerns to rest.
The Aucon's reaction baffled her. Her proposal is, after all, letting the Rudolvons do all the hard work, while all she does is snatch all the credit. She was wondering why her one-sided proposal seems to be accepted readily and happily. While she had put on a calm front, she was actually pretty nervous through this whole conversation, wondering if Cyril's higher education was enough for a bargaining chip.
It's a little weird how he is so eager to do this. Is he planning something?
Mia observed Aucon Rudolvon with a suspicious look at his willingness to accept such a bad trade.
Is he trying to win my favor? Or is this his way of showing his loyalty so that I will treat him better in the future?
Mia certainly craved the knowledge of Cyril Rudolvon, but that didn't mean she wanted to get chummy with him. He is, after all, still a Rudolvon, and she still has a grudge against him. Which is not surprising. One does not simply chop off a girl's head and expect her to forget about it, even if that has not happened in this timeline.
Trying to butter me up, huh? I can see right through you, and it's not going to work. It's time for me to put my foot down. Just so we're clear, the school won't be like the luxurious ones that nobles attend. Cyril is certainly welcome, but he better not expect any of the usual extravagance. I'll certainly see that the level of instruction isn't inferior to St. Noel. However, I am thinking of accepting a wide range of students, including commoners and those from the neighboring Lulu tribe.
What Mia was trying to imply to the outcome was that Cyril was not that special. That for her, the Rudolvons were like the common people, and so she will be putting Cyril to study with the common people. It was her way of saying, "Know your place, you peasant." After hearing Mia's little speech, the Aucon fell silent for a while. Then his hands started to tremble.
I see. This is... I don't have any words that I can convey to express my gratitude for such a consideration. Her Highness is willing to go to such lengths to make sure that Cyril can learn in an environment free from pressure or bullying of the central nobles. What's more, by letting the neighboring Lulu tribe attend this school as well, then they can build friendly relationships and trust from a young age.
If we're being honest, Aucon Rudolvon never really liked the imperial family much. Now though...
Maybe, just maybe, I may have finally found the person to whom I should offer my loyalty.
Pure joy from the depths of his heart rose up his chest and out of his eyes. Crystal clear tears flowed down his cheeks. Mia watched him with a kind of eerie fascination. The kind often felt when one knows you should look away, but the person on display is so mesmerizing that you simply can't.
Sweet moons, is he one of those people? The kind that, when you're mean to them, they feel really good?
Was he enjoying her disdain? Mia got creeped out upon seeing this older man who seemed to be in pleasure.
Well, he is Tiona's father. I guess it's not my place to judge.
In any case, she was able to get Cyril Rudolvon, and all the Rudolvon's wit was effectively all hers. She accomplished what she came for.
I'm so glad I decided to come personally. That was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
She smiled happily with satisfaction while being softly rocked by the shaking of the carriage returning to the capital. Thus, everything is said. The final piece was finally in place. Fate will abruptly flow in a new direction.
Phew, I'm a little tired, as expected after all of that.
There were only a few days left of the summer vacation. Mia, who returned to her room late at night, laid down on the bed without even bothering to change out her dress. It is usually the kind of behavior that would earn her a scolding from Anne, but just this time it can be overlooked. After finishing her tasks with Aucon Rudolvon, Mia energetically traveled throughout the empire, and tossed by her success with the wit, Mia decided to get as many things done before she went back to the academy. Starting with an in-person inspection of the hospital in the slums, checked the food reserves in the storehouses, and then embarked on an ambitious journey through the whole empire to meet noble after noble to let them know about the establishment of her school.
Ugh.
The moment she hit the bed, tiredness quickly crept up to her whole body. Nonetheless, Mia managed to resist the urge to fall asleep immediately.
That reminds me, I haven't checked it recently.
Mia pushed herself up and headed to the luxurious desk. Kept carefully in the back of one drawer was a blood-stained diary. This blood-stained diary had been a signpost for almost everything that Mia had done. Mia gave a tired smile as she picked up the diary, remembering that the last time she read it, it was at the start of summer vacation.
If after all this, I still end up on the guillotine, I might just cry a little.
Mia quickly flipped open the cover through the scary pages until she reached the page in question.
Huh?
She let out a gasp of alarm. The page where she was reading was the day of the guillotine, but something strange happened with the page. The letters seemed to unravel seemingly small threads before melting away into nothingness. At the same time, the blood-red stains that covered the whole diary disappeared while she was looking at it. Now the page was completely blank.
What in the moons? What does this happen?
In her shock, Mia accidentally dropped the diary. The diary gave off a faint glow like a moonlight. She watched in disbelief as the diary disappeared in tiny particles of light.
How? What?
Mia was now staring at the empty space, completely unable to process what had just happened.
Whoa! What is the meaning of this? Without my diary,
Mia panicked and searched the whole room looking for her lost diary. It was important that she wouldn't lose it. After all, Mia's actions were guided by the diary. Based on what she read from it, she adjusted her actions to avoid the guillotine, and now, that important guide has disappeared. Literally.
Wait a second.
Mia froze as she came to a realization. That diary was a guideline written by the Mia of the future. As long as Mia ended up on the guillotine, then that diary would continue to exist. But now that it's gone...
In other words, as long as I have that diary, I'm destined to die at the guillotine. Then, no diary, no guillotine?
Amidst her confusion, she slowly and logically arranged her thoughts until she reached a certain conclusion. She could not believe what her own voice was saying.
I did it? Really? Yes! I finally did it!
Mia threw her small fist in the air in a loud, passionate, and thoroughly unprincess-like celebration of sheer unbridled joy. She burst into a joyful dance while twirling around and around her room. She only stopped when her fatigue and tiredness caught up with her excitement.
That's right! I should write a letter to Prince Abel.
She clapped her hands and smiled happily. As a matter of fact, it is unlikely that she will receive a reply from this letter considering the number of days left for summer vacation. Furthermore, once school resumes, they contact directly. However, Mia was just so happy that she wanted to let someone know her happy feelings right away. And as for who that person she wanted to share her happiness with, it didn't take a lot of guesswork.
Prince Abel, how are you? Well, I'll see you once school starts, but that still seems like an eternity from now.
The gears of fate began to turn, but one of them shifted in its place, slowly changing the motion of all its peers. While Mia was in joyful celebration, at the same time, at a certain underground tavern, 4 men were talking secretly.
The Empire seems to be picking up.
I tried egging a bunch of nobles, but things aren't going well.
That young Golden Moon minister, Ludwig, was it? He's good. He does nothing but cause us headaches. I was hoping that a famine would do them in, but they seem to have a perfect system to counter it. I also heard that the relationship between Princess Mia and Prince Sion is also good. That means that the efforts in having them turn against each other has failed.
The great wisdom of the Empire? Nothing but a meddling little girl. It can be helped. Prince Sion has always been known to be a genius in everything. And that beluga as Rafina is not an easy target as well. In any case, our ultimate goal remains the same. We'll put the plans for the Empire on hold. For now, we're changing targets. In the midst of all of this, a new school term began, but Mia never received a letter of reply from Abel.
Oh, it's been a long time. Who would have thought that the day would come when I would be happy to be back at the school?
To be honest, Mia didn't really like school, but she went as far as to leave the Empire 1 week early because of the feeling of liberation from the guillotine. She was humming happily entering the school gates. "Oh, Mia-sama."
Chloe, good morning to you.
Mia gave her an exceptionally formal curtsy. Chloe hurriedly did the same, and then they looked at each other and giggled.
It's been a long time, Chloe. Were you well?
"I am, thank you. I'm glad to see you so healthy."
Is your father doing well?
"Oh, yes. Thank you for that, by the way. My dad was so delighted to have a very good business talk with you."
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
"Well, I was very surprised. I mean, I knew it, but it really drove home for me how you truly live up to your title."
My, I'm terribly flattered, but you're giving me too much credit.
She sure was. For the love of... Chloe surely did give her too much credit. It's been too long since Mia actually said something true about herself. The two walked happily around the campus. When they were approaching the courtyard, a familiar person approached them. "Good day to you, Mia-san. It's wonderful to see you again."
Rafina-sama, good morning to you too. You're as charming as always.
The two of them exchanged pleasantries in a typical noble fashion. Then Rafina looked at Chloe and smiled gently. "Good morning to you as well, Chloe-san." Yeah. Good morning, Rafina-sama." Rafina looked at Mia after seeing Chloe getting nervous. "I didn't know you and Chloe were friends."
Indeed, we are. In fact, we are best friends.
Best friend?
We often get together to discuss the books we've read.
Is that right? That sounds delightful. I was thinking of having some tea. Would you like to join me? Oh, then I'll be heading... Oh, Chloe, do you already have plans? No, but I don't want to get in the way of your... Don't be silly. I was thinking of having tea with the two of you.
I would prefer if you joined us as well, Chloe. Rafina kindly invited us, so let's go together.
Having said that, she took Chloe's hand. By the way, Mia-san, I heard the news. You are trying to build a school. After they had made themselves comfortable in her room, Rafina gazed at Mia with her mouth on the cup of tea. And you're going to open its doors to the masses as well. I must say that is certainly a bold move, if you'll pardon my delicacy. Chloe blinked in surprise upon hearing this. Really? I had no idea you had plans like that. At the gaze of the two, Mia was a little nervous, and she shifted in her seat.
Oh, I wonder if she had caught on that I am letting in commoners because I don't want to send Tiona's brother to a school exclusive for nobles.
Even though she had escaped the guillotine, Rafina's stare doesn't seem to bode well. Mia hastily thought of an excuse.
Well, it's not a big deal, is it? After all, talent is talent, irrelevant to one's social background.
No, she does have a point though. Tiona's younger brother is not from a prestigious bloodline. Heck, they're barely considered nobility. And yet, he was still able to come up with a new strain of wheat. Talent has nothing to do with bloodline. Mia was sure of it. Or so she hoped. Fortunately, her desperately fabricated justification seemed to satisfy Rafina. No, rather, it seemed that she had taken it deeply. I could not agree more. Seeing that she had successfully escaped further interrogation, Mia let out her breath in relief. Almost immediately, however, she noticed something was wrong. Rafina was still as a statue, her expression hidden by the oblique angle of her face. There was an extended silence. Suddenly, she leaned over and took Mia's hands in hers. I'm so glad. I'd expect nothing less from my closest friend. Rafina took Mia's hands full of admiration, her eyes moistening with emotions. Mia's words hadn't just satisfied her. It resonated with her on a very deep level, which is a shame because Mia was oblivious on this fact. All Mia could notice was that Rafina's reaction was bordering on being a little scary, yet strange. Mia knew that the stuff she said barely made sense to her, and now Here was Rafina, squeezing her hands like they were soulmates. Normally, being stared at by Rafina was the kind of thing that would send her into crisis aversion mode. But right now, though...
Please, you're exaggerating.
She simply smiled back. She was on a roll, and she knew it. Fate was on her side. That big wave was still at her back, still surging.
Oh yeah, it's here. I can feel it. It's going strong.
So long as the wave kept going, she was going to keep riding it. It would carry her farther and farther until, perhaps as retribution for the way she had relied on the fickle whims of fate, the wave vanished, leaving her hanging out in the air. Mia-sama, order my intrusion. Anne rushed in. Mia was surprised that she failed to notice Anne's ashen face.
Anne, what's wrong?
There has been a revolution. And so, the free fall began.
What? Revolution? Why? What about my efforts so far? All of it down the drain? A revolution in the Empire?
Mia felt her strength suddenly leave out of her body, and her whole world began fading to white. Oh, calm down, Mia-sama. It's not in the Tearmoon Empire.
Huh? What do you mean?
Mia paused mid-fall and looked at Anne. The revolution has happened in the Kingdom of Remno. Kidwood told me earlier.
Huh? I don't... What? What do you mean? What on the moon is going on?
She didn't understand anything at all. Why and how was there a revolution in the Kingdom of Remno? And why so suddenly?
Excuse us, Lady Rafina.
Mia's questions were interrupted with a knock on the door. Prince Ian entered together with his servant Kidwood. Trailing behind them was Tiona.
I heard that Princess Mia is here.
Your timing is rather impeccable, Prince Ian. Come, be seated. I'll bring you some tea. Once the newly arrived trio sat down, Kidwood began explaining.
I apologize for the confusion. To be more precise, it is still at the stage of popular uprising, so it isn't a full-blown revolution yet.
Kidwood's words were apologetic and a bit hesitant. His hesitant tone underscored the awkwardness of their position in divulging this information. The Kingdom of Songland has emphasized the importance of information since the early days of its founding. They had a dedicated intelligence agency known as the Wingcrows, which operated in all the nearby nations through a network of latent spies. It was only recently that the news came from a spy in the Kingdom of Remno. The message read, "In the Kingdom of Remno, there are signs of revolt that could result in overthrowing the monarch. The government is most likely to respond with a crackdown on the people. There is a need for military intervention from the Kingdom of Songland to protect the people from the government." Originally, even though Kidwood was the prince's servant, he wasn't privy to state secrets. This kind of classified intelligence was above his clearance level. However, no kingdom was a monolith. Every large organization has its fair share of internal factions, and Songland was no different. There were plenty of officers and officials who were fond of Xian and eager to advance his interest. Kidwood, being the diligent servant he was, had made sure to keep tabs on the shifting sands of factional allegiance to figure out who was on their side, especially with Xian's habit of sticking his nose where it shouldn't be. Kidwood's network of reliable allies was the only thing standing between regular panic attacks and his mental health. The tip he received this time had come from a reliable source. When Kidwood got his information, he immediately consulted with Xian, and then came to the conclusion that it would be better to inform Princess Mia.
The fact of the matter is that we will still have very little information to go on.
The information was vague, only that there was a revolt that could lead to a revolution. Still, the sentence of calling for military intervention was very clear. This made Kidwood's heart skip a beat. They relayed the information to Anne, who came in bursting, starting with the revolution part, which caused Mia's misunderstanding.
Still, there have been signs of destabilization in the Kingdom of Remno over the past few years.
With a large military force and heavy taxes, Remno's governance had always been a delicate balancing act. What caused the equilibrium to collapse was the king's announcement of another tax hike. Of course, it was met with no shortage of opposition. The first to disagree was Count Dasayev Donovan, the Chancellor and Count of the Kingdom of Remno. He raised his voice to represent the voices of the disgruntled people. "I know of this Count. He's a wise person, but I thought he had a mild temperament."
I had the same impression of him. In fact, Chancellor Donovan seems to have been moving to act as an intermediary between the people and the royal family, but something happened.
Sion trailed off with his arms folded.
Something must have happened.
A heavy silence descended upon the room.
What is it? Hey, what is it? What is going on?
Mia, who couldn't follow the conversation at all, was in a state of total confusion. It took every ounce of her will to stop her from jumping up and down in frustration. Of course, Mia had no memory of a revolution in the Kingdom of Remno in the past, and it's not because she got her hands full in her own backyard. At this point in time, there should have been no noticeable events that required her full undivided attention anyways. So, if there was a revolution or a civil war in some other country, there's no way she wouldn't have noticed. Nevertheless, something happened. Not in the Empire, but in the Kingdom of Remno. None of it made any sense to her.
Well, I mean, at least it's not happening in the Empire. That's something to be happy about.
She thought in an attempt to look at the bright side of things. Even if the royal family of the Kingdom of Remno was destroyed by the revolution, Mia would not be the one at the guillotine, which meant that, technically, Mia doesn't have to do anything. In fact, if she were to stay true to her motto, she would stay the heck away from all this mess if possible. But... Mia-sama? Do you want to go?
Huh? What are you talking about? Anne, it never crossed my mind to...
But, Mia-sama, your face. You look like you're about to cry.
Huh? No, that's not true. All this time, I've been doing my best to avoid the guillotine.
Memories began to resurface in her mind. Flashback after flashback of the past year of her life. She remembered the terror of the guillotine and all the sweat, tears, and hard work she had shed trying to avert that horrible fate.
Yes, I worked hard to get where I am now. Why would I possibly go to a place like that and throw myself into danger again? The right choice is to refrain from running into danger. But...
the more she thought about it, the more the memories came back, including a gentle face, riding a horse together, a smiling face, beating on a sandwich, a shy face when dancing. Scene after scene, it was his face that kept appearing. Then, the montage faded. She looked around and saw that everyone's gazes were focused on her. Anne's, Chloe's, Cian's, Kidwood's, Rafina's, Tiona's.
I don't suppose anyone will take no for an answer, will they?
Mia had a cheerful smile on her face while muttering these words.
I'm going. I want to go to Prince Abel.
At long last, freed from the fetter of the bloody diary and the doom it foretold, Mia made her first real choice. She looked around and said to everyone around her,
Will you help me? Not that I want to see him or anything. This is just a strategy. People might be disillusioned with me and put me again on the guillotine.
Screamed her inner tsundere in her heart.
This is it for this video. We will continue with the story of the Guillotine Princess in the next episode. This was Brian and Marco from Jobless Weeps. Matane.